Some feel I, 32, should have handled the situation, but I don't see how I'm wrong. Me and my sister, 37, are not as close as we used to be because of some messed up stuff that happened years ago. I had my son Jesse, 9, pretty young. Months after that, to my surprise, my ex was pregnant again. Only I knew it wasn't me, because having an infant to take care of and provide for left me with zero interest in lovemaking. And we found out it was my sister's fiancé, ex now, that she was seeing behind our backs. It hurt. Worst pain ever, but for my son's sake, I tried to get past it. I come from a family of half-sibs too, so I wanted my son to be close to his half-brother, Keith. Surprise, not only were they, my ex and my sister's ex, horrible lying cheaters, but also terrible parents. Both got hooked on medicine, only escalated from there. He got locked up when Keith was 3. This particular issue with my sister happened a couple years ago. My ex got sick, she was scared of Keith ending up in foster care like her, and I didn't want that for him either. I legally adopted him before she passed when he was 6. Not everyone in my family was on board at first, but he's the kind of kid that is hard not to love, so they warmed up to him. My sister never did. She hated that I brought the son of her ex-fiancé into my family. And I understood why it was painful, but Keith's and Jesse's best interests were my main priority. That's how we drifted apart. Last weekend was my birthday and had a small barbecue at my place. My parents have tried hard to mend things between us, so they convinced me to let her come too, so we can chat. I thought that meant she was cool with Keith because obviously the three of us are a package deal. I asked my parents, how would she feel about Keith, they said not to worry about it. Again, I took it as she came around. Only she wasn't told he would also be present. But how could he not be? He lives there. My sister got there, and she was mad when she saw him. She very specifically said, I thought this was family, only what's he doing here? Loud enough where he could have easily heard, but thankfully he was playing with his brother. My sister was pissed because my parents told her Keith wouldn't be around. And I got pissed when she told me she didn't want him here, expecting me to do something about it. So I just told her to leave, and she's not welcome here then. There was some back and forth from her and my parents. I didn't want that kind of talk around my sons, so still made her leave. My mom seems to think I was a huge idiot for kicking her out of my party instead of trying to work things out. Like they take Keith somewhere out of sight while me and her talk. But to me, what's the point of us working it out if that's how she still feels toward my son? Well, this is still causing some conflict since I escalated the feud by making her leave instead of actually talking to her. Am I the idiot? Let me get this straight, essentially, the same exact thing happens to both you and your sister. You were both cheated on, and you do a remarkably decent thing and adopt a child that resulted from it, yet she can't even be in the same room as said child. Why does she think her pain from said incident is so much more traumatic than yours? Does she even realize, comparatively speaking, what a petty little human she must be? Not the idiot, but your parents are. They ambushed your sister by lying about where Keith would be. She clearly has unresolved issues about her ex, and she reacted emotionally. The situation escalated, and your parents are placing blame on the wrong person. Your parents are responsible for what happened, not you, but also not your sister. She needs to get help so she can deal with Keith being in her family and her life forever, and until then you're right to keep her away from him. Not the idiot. Good job for defending your sons. Your sister should be ashamed for how she treats this child. I understand he can represent a bad time for her, but it isn't his fault and he doesn't know what's going on. You are exactly right, you can't fix how your sister feels, and you sure aren't gonna ask a child to leave, so it had to be her, and besides, you don't need someone around that's going to make your son feel bad. Let me preface this by saying that I, 24, and my girlfriend, 32, who we'll call Liv, have been seeing each other for close to a year now. I've been living in a shared house with 8 blokes in a small 2x2 meters room that barely accommodates a single bed. This is the sole reason why she doesn't sleep at mine. I'm saving a lot on rent living here, even though the living conditions are poor. Now, I've been staying at my girlfriend's house 4 nights a week for the past few months. Her beds are bigger for starters, and I can't cook at home because it's always congested, so Liv and I cook a meal twice a week at hers. She has a roommate who we'll call Bianca that she's known for quite a few years, and they get along fine. I've tried my best to get to know Bianca, but it's not reciprocated, and I can feel the awkward tension between us a mile away. She's never asked a question about what I do for work or anything of the like and typically responds with one-word answers. Liv told me that Bianca feels very uncomfortable living with me. I hate being the cause of her discomfort. Whenever I'm at Liv's house, I don't use the living room and go straight to Liv's room whenever I arrive, usually late after work. Besides cooking with Liv, I'm usually mindful of my time spent in the bathroom. Here's where Liv and I may have screwed up. We were taking a shower together and took a bit longer than usual, 20 or 30 minutes. All of a sudden Bianca comes out of the room and slams the front door shut and sends Liv an angry text about taking too long and that she needed to use the bathroom and that she's selfish, etc. We both put ourselves in her situation and said we would have knocked on the bathroom door to ask us to hurry up if we were busting, but she's a bit more timid than we are. Their relationship's gone down the gutter since I came along and I can't help but feel responsible. On an end note, Liv and I want to move in together within a few more months after her lease finishes, but for now, we're stuck in this predicament. My mate's telling me I'm an idiot for staying over 4 days a week rent-free and I should respect the roommate's boundaries and not see her as frequently. But I see it as the next step before moving in together, that I'm only there at night and it's normal for couples to see each other more frequently before they move in. So, am I the idiot? Or, to be honest, you are the idiot. As your mates have already told you, you live rent-free at your girlfriend's house, also invading the life and privacy of her roommate. Bianca has way more to consider now than just sharing with your girlfriend. I wouldn't accept this either, and I'd be furious with both of you. I think both you and your girlfriend screwed up long before the long shower. Your girlfriend definitely is the idiot in this situation as well, allowing this to happen to her roommate and the friendship to deteriorate. You're the idiot. When I say that, I mean both you and your girlfriend. You, for spending the majority of your time at a house where you don't pay any rent even though you have your own place. And your girlfriend, for not considering her housemate whenever she decides to let you stay over even though the housemate already expressed their discomfort. If you were already planning to move in together, why not just wait until then to spend as much time together as you can? No idiots here. People on this post are so ridiculous about how things actually work in the real world and in real relationships. Bianca is not an idiot, she didn't agree to a third roommate, and OP is not an idiot, it's completely normal to spend that amount of time with your SO in their home. OP's girlfriend is not an idiot wanting her partner in her life or home. OP isn't some freeloading piece of crap like the comments seem to suggest. Everyone in the situation just needs to communicate and be more respectful of one another. I worked for a wealthy family. They had 2 children and they'd pay me $25 per hour plus gas plus food while there. During the summer we did not have set times I'd work. All I had to do was work off 20 hours per week. Sometimes that was a single day, sometimes it was every day of the week for 3 hours. One Friday, the dad told me Monday they would most likely need me at around 1 p.m, but he was unsure and had to double check with his wife and would text me. Monday rolls around and I forgot he had told me I needed to receive a text. When they did not call or text I always showed up at 5 p.m, according to the set schedule. At 12:55 the dad calls me asking if I am going to be late. Oh, but I thought I should come at 5 since I never got a confirmation. No, I need you right now. I need 25 minutes and I'd be there. I am so sorry for the misunderstanding. This is not a misunderstanding, these are my children. I'm sorry, I must have understood wrong what we spoke about on Friday. Do you want me to come now at 1:30? No, hangs up. I texted him offering to come at 5 p.m. and his reply was no, you'd be useless. He calls me again at 5:10 p.m. Where are you? Are you actually not gonna show up twice in a day? Huh, what? But you said you do not need me today. Show some proactiveness. Try to show us you actually care for our children. Sir, I cannot randomly show up at your house unless you've asked me to. I don't think I am in the wrong here. That's unfair. I'll tell you what's unfair: the crap service we are receiving from you and the crazy money I am willing to pay you. You shouldn't be allowed to take care of plants, let alone children. Grow up, because with this attitude you'd be lucky to graduate college, darling. I can call you out on the idiot you are and you should smile and nod. Okay, I quit. Consider this my 2-week notice. I won't be dragged down like this for any amount of money. Next day I am supposed to 2 p.m. and there is a new replacement I need to train. At 1 p.m. I get a long letter delivered where I am being fired and my pay for the next 2 weeks would be $5 due to child endangerment. I text them, since I am fired I do not need to work off those 2 weeks and would not be coming in. I turned off my phone and when I finally picked up the dad exploded and called me an idiot, telling me that because of me, they had to cancel a very important business trip to take care of their children, which both had a severe breakdown when they found out I was leaving and a new girl was coming in. It was worse for the older one, 6-year-old, who was severely attached to me. He fell down the stairs in his panic and broke a hand and busted his face open. This was a few months ago, but I am still feel partially guilty. So, am I the idiot for leaving them like that? Not the idiot. He turned a simple miscommunication, which was likely him forgetting to send the text, into a reason for abuse and manipulation. You were willing to rush right over, but he turned that down and he changed the requests repeatedly without telling you. You were probably right to leave. The child's injury is not your fault. Nor is them missing the business trip. You were absent due to their behavior and they ended up facing the consequences of their actions. Not the idiot. You probably still think about it and feel partially guilty for it because you were attached to the children, just like the 6-year-old was attached to you. The children also are victims of their crazy parents. I'd advise you to separate the grief you feel over being forced to leave those kids from your strong and rightful action not to come in anymore after being fired. Don't feel guilty and you're not responsible for those kids either. There's nothing you can do or could have done for them anyway. Not the idiot. How old are you? You mentioned you'd be lucky to graduate college. This guy is insane regardless, but if some grown man talked to my kid like that I'd be at his door and I don't care how much money he has. He treated you like a servant and not a human being. That's disgusting and wrong on so many levels. He thinks he can treat people like crap and they'll still do what he wants because he throws money at it. Don't feel guilty, you did the right thing and maybe taught him a lesson. I doubt it, but maybe. Me, 31, and my current husband, 35, recently found out that we were expecting twin boys, and my first husband's mother is livid that we aren't naming one of them after her son. A little background. My first husband, Michael, and I were college sweethearts. We got married not long after graduation, and I thought I would be with him for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, we were only married for a couple of months before Michael passed away suddenly. It was one of the worst times in my life and I never thought that I would ever fall in love again, much less get married again, or have a family. I remained very close with Michael's mom, my mother-in-law, and she was very supportive when I eventually started dating again. Not long after I met my current husband, John, I took him to her house so that they could meet. She was so excited to meet him, and I remember going to the bathroom and crying tears of relief that she wasn't angry at me for moving on. When John and I got married she was so happy for me, and on my wedding day, she took me aside and told me that she knew Michael was happy for me too. It meant so much to me to hear her say that. Earlier this year, John and I found out that we were pregnant. At first, mother-in-law was ecstatic, making jokes about being a bonus grandma and asking to help plan the gender reveal party and baby shower. But then when the subject of names came up, she was shocked that we weren't planning to name the baby after Michael. I explained to her that if it was a boy, we were going to name him after John's father. I could tell she wasn't happy, but she seemed to accept it. Things took a turn for the worst after my 20-week ultrasound when we found out that I was carrying twin boys. When I told her the news, she flat out told me that had to name one of the babies after Michael or she would never forgive me. When I told her that we weren't going to do that, she absolutely flipped, saying that I was betraying the memory of her son. I tried to make her understand that as much as I love and miss Michael, that chapter of my life is over and I feel like it's disrespectful to John to insist on naming one of his children after another man. At first, John said that he would be fine with it if it was what I wanted, but eventually, he admitted that the idea made him uncomfortable. I never want to make my mother-in-law think that I've forgotten Michael or that he wasn't important to me, but I don't want to name one of my children after him either. And honestly, I don't think he would have wanted me to. There are better ways of remembering him than giving his name to a child that will never have any real connection to him. I tried explaining this to mother-in-law, but she just wouldn't hear it. She told me that she would never speak to me again if I didn't name one of the babies after her son. She's been a really important part of my life and I don't want to lose her, but at the same time, I feel like she's giving me an unfair ultimatum. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She can't make demands on you like this, and it sounds like it is time to put some significant distance between her and your family. It doesn't invalidate the love you and Michael had to not name one of your children after him and also to no longer be close with his mother. She's behaving entitled when she should be grateful she has a place in your lives still. She is still in such an unhealthy place with her grief that she will make an astronomically bad bonus grandma. Not the idiot. Yes, we all grieve differently, etc., but this has been going on for 10 plus years, and mother-in-law needs help. She has no right to demand you name one of your sons after your dead husband, which frankly could make his own father feel weird toward him through no fault of his own. And frankly, if she continues to talk like this, I would be far less inclined to let her be involved in either child's life. Does she have other still living children? Because this feels ghoulish and really off. Just a breakdown, I was dating my ex-boyfriend for 3 years. 2 weeks before graduating from grad school, I found out I was pregnant even though we took every precaution. I told my boyfriend. He told me he was fine with it. He is about 4 years older and felt he was ready to have a baby. For about 2 months, he treated me like crap. Despite telling me that he wanted to keep the baby, he pressured me multiple times to terminate the pregnancy by questioning my parenting skills. He was also growing distant. I cried myself to sleep most nights. He eventually gave me an ultimatum, either keep the baby and leave him or stay with him, but end the pregnancy. I decided to go with the former and moved out. After grad school, I started working as a systems engineer, so I was able to financially provide for myself. I never asked him for a penny. During the 4 months we were apart, his brother and best friend would email, text, and call me to tell me to terminate the pregnancy. I also found out that he had cheated on me with an ex of his during the last 6 months of our relationship. I ended up changing my number and deactivating social media and my personal email accounts. Recently, my ex-boyfriend contacted me. He apologized for everything he did and wants to be in a relationship with me again. I have no inclination to do this. I am in a country that I have no family, my family lives in Europe. I currently have no support system here. He made 6 or 7 months of my pregnancy hell. He told his brother and best friend to contact me. The girl he cheated on me with sent me screenshots of their messages in which he trashed me for months. In the last 2 months or so, I reconnected with a childhood friend. He knows about my situation and we are currently in a relationship. My ex-boyfriend found out about this through a mutual friend and all of a sudden wants to be in my life. I am not okay with that. I have no problem sharing custody with him after the baby is born. If he wants to be a present dad, I won't stop him. But I don't want him around me for the last couple of months of my pregnancy. I don't want him to be there with me in the delivery room. His parents and our mutual friends keep telling me to forgive him, but I can't. Not the idiot. Speak to doctors or nurses or hospital staff and let them know you do not want him or his friends and family around. Block them all. Before you give birth, see a lawyer about legal rights. He may have to prove he is the father via paternity test, that he is the father to get any visitation, and if that is the case then that opens the door for him to pay support. He is probably doing this as a means to manipulate you and harass you. Not a good person to have in a baby's life. Not the idiot, and, if I can say so, you sound like you're a cool and an incredible space right now. This person has put you through some hell, and yet not a shred of bitterness or anger comes off in what you've written. You've come away from him with your dignity, your degree, your career, a new relationship, and a baby, a whole actual human for goodness sake. Trust yourself with how you want to handle your ex's role in your child's life. You sound more than capable and they're lucky to have you.